it's Pastor Keon, host of Bring Out the Woman podcast. In this episode, I am going to be talking about a divine strategy for rest. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed, feeling that you need to be poured into, like you're just at your wit's end, you need to come and check out this episode. And I want you also to invite a friend, because rest is worship. Rest is productivity. It's not laziness. It's not resistance. You need to rest so that you can go out and bring out the woman that's in you. So I'll meet you over there on all platforms. Hey, sis. Welcome back to Bring Out the Woman podcast. This is Pastor Keon, and I'm so glad that you're here with us, because this is the platform or the space where faith meets freedom and the woman within finally gets permission to rise, because it's your time to rise. I want you to know that. And so on today's episode, it hits close to home for me, because I want to talk about something many of us struggle with, but rarely show or slow down long enough to do. And that is rest. Yes, you heard me, rest. In a world, in a culture where we celebrate that hustle mentality, burn the midnight oil, we believe in that myth of the superwoman, that we can all get it done. It kind of feels rebellious to rest, or it can feel lazy, like you're not being productive. But I've learned that sometimes one of the most spiritual things you can do is to stop, is to pause. And one of the most productive things you can do is rest, because rest is productivity. Don't believe the lie that it's not. And so when I say stop, I'm not saying quit or give up, throw in the towel, but you need to stop long enough to breathe, to listen, to sit back and let God do the work in you before he does the work through you. And I learned that there is a difference in being with God and doing for God. Two differences. So today we're going to walk through the acronym STOP. And it's a divine strategy for rest. And so tonight we're going to learn to silence the noise, take inventory, open your heart, and also pause in God's presence. So let's get into it. So when I say the word stop, it is to alert you, right, that something needs your attention. And so the S in the acronym stands for silence the noise. You have to silence the noise, because we live in a constant state of distraction, right? You have your phone. Our cell phones are mini computers. So it's always buzzing. There's always a text. There's always an email. There's always a notification. We live in a world where information technology is so expansive. We're always connected to what's happening and going on. And the world is loud, okay? But here's the thing. God's voice is still, it's small. Sometimes he mostly speaks in a whisper. And so if you're going to hear God, you're going to have to learn how to silence the noise. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." If you're running about all the time and never taking time to be still, are you hearing him? Knowing him? Because you know him, that he's real, you believe in him, but do you know him in a way that he can come and rescue you and give you information, give you steps that you need for your life? You have to be still to get that information. And you can't know God's direction for your life if you never silence the distractions long enough to hear him. Sometimes you have to turn down the volume on the world so you can hear and tap into heaven's frequency. You have to just shut off the television, disconnect your cell phone, put it on do not disturb, and go in and have some quiet time. Even if I know I was a busy working mom too, 3 kids, husband, had a job, going to school, but there were moments that I would wake up early before everyone else, so that I can have quiet time with God. I also learned how to use my commute to work. If you have a long commute, ooh, honey, my car became my sanctuary. It became my church, my girlfriend. It became my prayer closet, everything. Me in the turnpike, me and God in the car, pausing. Sometimes I didn't listen to anything. I just sat in silence and let him talk to me. So ask yourself this question. What noise in my life is drowning out the peace I keep praying for? Oh, because we'll pray for peace. Oh, give me peace. But we won't create the space to give peace an opportunity to flow into our lives. So you have to pause and say, what do I need to cut? What do I need to silence so peace can freely flow to me? And remember, silence is not punishment. It's preparation, right? Because what you hear in stillness will carry you in seasons of movement. And I learned that when I decided to take a sabbatical. I took myself out of work. I was having surgery. I took myself out of ministry, doing anything for 3 months. And those 3 months are still feeding me today. It's why I got this podcast. It's why I believe that I could step out on faith and do it, because I took 3 months of time where I said, I'm just going to disconnect, take care of me, and hear what God is saying. It will feed you in the years to come. Now we're going to move on to T. Take inventory. We move so fast that we rarely stop to ask, what's draining me? Or even, what's feeding me? Right? Lamentations 3:40 says, let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord. Taking inventory isn't just about identifying what's wrong. It's also about acknowledging where you've been surviving instead of thriving. And I don't know if you've ever been there. I've been there where basically I was just running off fumes, right? I needed more gas in my tank, but I was going to push it, honey. You know how that gas light come on, it's on E, but you're like, oh, I'm good. I got another 2 miles. I have another 3 miles. The worst thing I think these cars have done when they tell you have 25 miles to empty, and because we are so ready to keep going, we will push it to the limit until we run out of gas. So you have to take inventory. And maybe you've been running on obligation instead of obedience. Some of you feel obligated to people, to causes, to things, and these are things that God never told you to do. He didn't give you permission. He didn't tell you it was your assignment, but you decided that you're obligated, but you're not walking in obedience, right? And you can't heal what you won't face. You just can't. And so you need to test, rest where you refuse to release. You have to rest. In order to get to release, you have to rest. So take inventory. The O is for open your heart. Rest requires vulnerability because it causes you to have to look at you and be like, sis, you need to sit down, like all the way down. Take 2 seats, lay down, get a blanket, roll up in a ball, whatever. Sit back and rest. For some of us, that's the hardest part, right? Because when you slow down, all the emotions you've been outrunning finally catch up. Ooh, when I took that 3-month sabbatical for myself, I then began to see what I was really dealing with. It brought such clarity to my life. I got resolute in the decisions I had to make. But at first, it was overwhelming to know, really, girl, you've been living like this? You need to get yourself together. And that's why in Matthew 11:28, Jesus says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Notice he didn't say, come to me when you fixed it. He said, come. Weary, come. Broken, come. Tired, come. Exhausted, come. Right? Opening your heart to God means letting him see those places that hurt, the disappointments, the bad decisions you made, all the things that you've buried under your busyness. and the fear that if you stop, everything will fall apart. Listen, you have to get to the point in your life where your security, where your mental health, emotional health is more important. If things gonna fall apart, let them fall apart. Because you know what life has taught me? Those people that you think, oh, they can't do it, they need me, right? Some of us think people need us at our jobs. Listen, something happened to you, they have that job description ready to be posted. They'll probably cry a little bit. Oh, she was so good, she was so sweet. But where is that? We need this job up because we need a replacement. And your family will teach you the same thing. The things you don't want to release and let your kids grow up and do, or your spouse, trust me, people will figure it out. But I've learned when you open your heart, you give God's permission to heal what your hustle has been hiding. Because some of us will hide behind the hustle and we think that we're being productive. But when it costs you your rest, your sleep, you need to know that you need to open your heart and see what God has to say to you. And then we get to the P. Pause in his presence. Now this one, it's personal. There was a time when I thought doing for God was the same as being with God. I was busy serving, preaching, speaking, praying, doing all the things. And one day I'm up in a service praying and people were getting blessed, right? Because one thing I've learned, God is going to make sure that his people are blessed because it's my gift. It's freely given. It's nothing of me. I'm just being used at that moment, just like you in your life, right? But I had so much weight on me, physical weight, yes, but also emotional baggage that had been dragging around. And I got to the point when I got done with that prayer, I ran to the back and collapsed in a chair crying. And when I say crying, I mean, you know, when you, that kind of crying, it kind of took me by surprise. But I needed to release that because I hadn't been pausing, right? I was doing for God more than being with him. And I had to learn that I needed to, we say it all the time, put the oxygen mask on ourselves first. But because you're not resting, it causes you not to make the best decisions when it comes to your life and what you do and how you respond and react in the world. So I was pouring out for everyone else while silently running on empty. And then I read a line in one of my favorite books, Emotional Healthy Spirituality by Peter Scazzero. And he says, we see productivity as a sign that we are doing things the right way. We are doing the work of God, yet we do not spend quality time in his presence. We cannot give what we don't possess. So you have to spend quality time. It's not about the quantity, but the quality of time that you're spending with God. Because what you are doing, just productivity, doesn't mean that it's the right way, right? Just because people are being blessed doesn't mean that it's the right way. So you have to learn how to pause in his presence. He also says our activity can only properly flow from a life with God. When I'm connected to God, when I pause in his presence, when I open up my heart and I trust him in vulnerability, the more I can sense him being with me and the more I feel filled up to be able to accomplish the things that he has set for me to do. And see, that's when I realized that rest is not weakness, it's worship. Oh my goodness, rest is worship because God gave us a blueprint, right? He spoke the world into existence. He created man, he created woman, and he looked at everything that he did and he said, this is good. Now I'm going to take a break. And so if he needed to take a break, what makes us think his creation that we should not take a break? So rest is not laziness. Rest is one of the most productive things that you can do for yourself, right? It's the Mary over Martha moment, choosing presence over performance. You have to choose presence because the more you can be in his presence, the greater and powerful you're going to show up when it's time to perform. Not preferring performance over presence, but presence over performance. And when you pause in his presence, he restores what the pace has drained. He reminds you that you're not loved because you're productive. You're loved because you're his, because you belong to him. And you are a human being. I love this too. Not a human doing. You're a human being. Be in his presence. Pause. And when you finally stop striving, you make space for his spirit to move. And so I need to ask you a question. Where do you need to stop? Where do you need to silence, take inventory, open your heart, and pause? Because rest is not a reward. It's a requirement. Your body was designed to not go 24 hours without rest, without sleep. Now, I know some people who can function, so they say, without too much sleep, right? But you stay up for 24 hours, 24 hours, 24 hours and never rest, it's going to catch up to you. Because one thing about it, if it doesn't, your body is going to scream. Something's going to be off. And so give yourself permission to rest. So even right now, I want you to pause. Take one deep breath. And let's just sit in stillness to just take a moment together. Because sometimes we're not even breathing properly because we're carrying so much on our shoulders. So take a breath, take a break, and let him meet you here because he always does. So I'm going to give you some journal prompts for the week that I want you to complete. You can do all of them, just one of them, wherever you feel like you need the most work. But here they are. What noise in my life needs to be silenced so I can hear God again? Because some of you have heard God, but you need to hear him again. Or, what am I doing for God that I've stopped doing with God? Did you hear that? What am I doing for God that I stopped doing with God? And what's one way I can pause in his presence this week without guilt or distraction? I want you to wrestle with those things and then come back in the comment and let me know how you did with them. So I want to thank you for tuning in to Bring Out the Woman. If this episode blessed you, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and even share it with a friend. And this way you will always be in tune with what's going on. Drop me a comment and let me know what resonated with you and what you enjoyed most. And don't keep this to yourself, please. We want the platform to grow so more women can come in this space and receive healing. And remember, sometimes God's next instruction for your life begins with one sacred word: stop. Until next time, take care of your soul, honor your rest, and let God bring out the woman in you.